Okay guys, I have a serious question. Geek with the Tractor here, and my question is, I grew up with a family who did put in a garden, not every year, but most years, depending on where we were living or moving to or whatever. And we either bought a tiller or borrowed a tiller from somebody, and we tilled up the ground, and that's how we started our garden. But I have read, I don't know if you call them earth purists, garden purists, whatever, who say that that actually damages the biome of the soil so much that it's actually doesn't do as well as far as the growing the plants. So when we moved out here a few years ago and I started doing the gardening thing, I didn't get a tiller, and I just used a lot of elbow grease and shoveling and hoeing and that kind of thing. Now last year, as all of you know, I did get a John Deere 2032R tractor with a single blade plow, and that is definitely not near as invasive as a tine tiller or something like that. So I went, and it certainly helps for like virgin ground that's never been gardened before, breaking it up. So I did that last year, last spring, last fall, and down there in the bottom field I did another time earlier this spring. But here, this is the area that I'm planting these onions and potatoes in right now, was one that I did last year. And instead of getting a tine tiller, I got this little hand tiller, irrigator type thing, whatever. And it was actually helping a friend out, and they said, hey, you want this? I was like, yeah, let me give it a shot. So that's what I did. Now, my question is that even worth it? I mean, should I just break down and get a tiller attachment on my tractor? Or should I get a kind of a push behind tiller and just be done with it? Or should I put in the extra effort? Does it really matter with the plants? I know there are more experienced gardeners out there. Maybe you've done the research. Maybe you've come across some scientific article that explains it. I've been looking around. I just find a lot of anecdotal evidence and theory, but I have never really heard anything scientifically saying, yes, if you pulverize the ground, your plants are not going to grow as well or as healthy. Or yes, if you don't pulverize the ground, you manually turn over the dirt, your plants are going to grow healthier, stronger, and that kind of thing. And when I say healthier, I mean more nutrition, that sort of thing. Or have less disease. That's another thing that I've seen. So look, one thing I noticed, let me see if I can point this out to you. So those of you who have done the tine tiller, the rotation tilling, you know that after you're done, you often see a lot of just worms that are all cut up and all that kind of thing. One thing doing this manually, I've found that this here will turn up the soil, it'll break it up, but it leaves most of the worms intact, and they just go right back to doing what they're supposed to do, versus just completely cutting them up into pieces. Now I do know, okay, you cut a worm up, as long as you don't cut past the heart part, it will grow back, okay? But that is just one, again, anecdotal observation that I've made, that if you are using a tine tiller, a rotation tiller, it literally will just cut everything up. And I think I would imagine, okay, it makes sense to me, I would imagine that the recovery rate of the worm ecosystem that you have in the ground, which is very healthy and important to good soil, would have a harder time recovering. Whereas this, again, you kind of break up their little underground highways, but you're not completely obliterating and cutting them up into pieces. You're just kind of loosening up the soil, and they get back to work doing their job. So if there's anybody out there who's watching this channel, has more experience or more information on this topic, I would really appreciate it. Please comment below, because I'm not the only one who's asked this question. There's been other guys who've wondered the same thing that I know, and I've not really had a good answer. I've just kind of had like, yeah, this is what this one person says, another person said. So again, even if it's anecdotal, if it's not scientific, share your thoughts. I really want my channel to become sort of a community that inspires people to get outdoors, people to start gardens, and to be more active in the great outdoors. For me, being a software engineer, I work indoors so much. Majority of my life probably is sitting at a computer doing this. And this has been very healthy and therapeutic for me. It's been good for the kids too. Look at that. He's back there getting some exercise and working up the soil for me. So anyways, just a quick word of advice. Life is like a wheel, a wheel with spokes on it, like a bicycle wheel. If you tighten down the spoke if you tighten down just one spoke, the wheel gets a wobble in it. And for me, and I'm sure anybody out there who's watching who may be doing the indoor thing a lot, especially COVID, crazy COVID, right? That creates a wobble in your life. So you want to balance out your time getting outdoors, exercising, eating healthy, not too much junk food, and make sure that you're not spending too much time sitting there like this, hunched over. Stretch out the back, breathe in deep the fresh air. If you don't have a big space, do some backyard gardening, do some patio gardening, do some windowsill gardening, and I promise you, it'll bring a lot of joy to your life. Geek with a Tractor. Until next time, keep tracking. I look forward to your comments.